front, and I think we can take it from that line-up that we'll see a midfield of Russell, McPherson and McCoist, with Cooper, McDonald and Clark up front. A big opportunity for Craig Patterson to make an impression for Rangers. He's had a lot of problems through injury, and he has the threat, if you like, of Colin McAdam waiting on the substitutes bench. Celtic are, as expected, that's their full-strength side for the moment, and again their midfield will be key factors, I think, in the match. McStay, Burns and McLeod will be obviously very important indeed the way the match unfolds. And perhaps the most important individual of all in the Celtic cause this afternoon may be Davy Provan, who was injured on the 5th of November in the match, the league match indeed for Rangers. The Celtic start the match, and certainly the opening stages are liable to be frantic. A lot of competitive play, particularly the midfield area, as both sides try to establish some kind of pattern. Here's John McDonald, and the fierce challenge came from Roy Aitken. McPherson helping out. Here's Dave McPherson, and the flag is up on the near side against McPherson. But some brisk play over the far side involving Dave McPherson and John McDonald, and Rangers clearly making their presence felt in the early stages. Well, this is the 9th League Cup final between the Old Firm, and the score at the moment is 4 wins apiece, so this would be the decider at this stage in football history. There's Peter McCloy getting his first touch of the ball. The oldest player in the field, I'm sure you'll forgive me for saying that, replacing the cup-tied Nicky Walker. Nicol breaking back to McCoist, the Sandy Clark being hustled from the back by McAdam. Rangers get the free kick, really quickly taken by David Cooper. Roy Aitken coming across in very determined fashion, and Roy Aitken clearly unhappy that the referee allowed the free kick to be taken so quickly from a position which he didn't think was accurate. The first corner kick of the match. Cooper looking for Davy Provan to be waved a full 10 yards back. Get out by McLeod, down towards McCoist, making the first Celtic player to attack the ball. Dawson forced to play it out because Frank McGarvey cut off the possible pass back to McCloy. So David Hay giving little away with his facial expression at the moment. McClellan in quickly on McGarvey. Tense opening moments for Top Wars. McGarvey now trying to find room to turn away from McClellan, then he's been given the free kick. Now this is promising for Celtic. David Provan can be very accurate from this position. He's waiting for Aitken and McAdam to arrive in the box. McStay heading it back. It's McCoist defending. And the free kick has been given for some pushing in the box by Frank McGarvey. Rather hectic opening, Billy.
Yeah, it's a typical opening that you come to expect from Old Firm match. I always find it in the early stage a lot of anxiety, a little bit of nervousness, and I think that the team that settles first is often the team that at the end of the day wins the match. But Rangers made an interesting start when they made a good break, and unfortunately ruined by McPherson going offside. But the game has sort of evened out since then, John.
The referee Bob Valentine, clearly a very important figure out there at the moment. A lot of jangled nerves. And the player playing it out, and Jimmy Nicol with the throw for Rangers. The kick against Tom McAdam. So Dave McPherson has added his height to the attack, just beyond Sandy Clark. Bonner has come a long way out. Well, there's certainly just some confidence among his defenders. Good piece of handling early on. McClellan's header. Mark Reid playing it down. Russell in quickly on Tommy Burns. Now Cooper. And giving very little room to work. Brought down by Martin McLeod. McLeod unhappy about the decision, but referee Valentine very close to the play. So you see Cooper trying to go beyond Martin McLeod. And that's what gave rise to the free kick. Donald lucky to get the ball at the second attempt after the dummy intended for Timmy Nicholl. Touched on by Clark to McPherson, and Reid with a pass back. Paul McStay has gone very deep for Celtic. Nicholl coming across to join the central defence. Grain, led back by McClair to Provan. McStay to Mark Reid. McGarvey's in between the two defenders. Well, could have held the ball, I think. He had a bit more space than perhaps he realised. But he certainly did well turning into this gap. Head flick on came from McClair. McGarvey got between Nicholl and back to Patterson, and the first time shot well wide. Burns forcing it forward. Patterson making sure he kept the header well wide because McGarvey wasn't far away from him. With the header, and that should be comfortable enough for Craig Patterson. Well, a clumsy touch on the ball, giving Celtic the throw. Interesting midfield battle emerging with McCoist in the middle of the field for Rangers against McLeod, and McPherson marking Paul McStay. Russell's clearance, John McDonald supported by McPherson on the left. Involuntary dummy that, I think, from Russell, but it found Davy Cooper. That's good running from McCoist, a chance for Rangers. Sandy Clark missed it, and McDonald's shot is blocked, but what a great opportunity that was for Rangers. Created by the running of Ally McCoist. McGarvey tackled instantly by Patterson. Dawson's header back to McCloy. That was a superb piece of action in the Celtic half, which almost gave Rangers the lead. Now it was the running here from Ally McCoist onto that Russell pass. The slanted ball across the face of the goal. Clark really should have scored, and McDonald's shot was blocked. The ball for a second. That's beautiful control from Davy Cooper. Now Russell running into the immovable object in the form of Roy Aitken. Damage for Russell, and Roy Aitken very upset indeed about the free kick being given. Something like running into a wall, I would suggest. That run from Russell straight into Aitken.
Yeah, that was an interesting chance that Rangers missed, Jock, because I don't think that in Old Firm games you get all that many chances. But Sandy Clark had a definite clear chance at goal here and unfortunately missed it. Well, unfortunately for Rangers, that is, of course.
Well, Robert Russell taking some time to recover. He clearly is in some difficulty.
It's an interesting one, Joe. You mentioned early on about a midfield battle, and I would think that's somewhere where the authority for the game is going to be established. At the moment, Rangers seem to have a bit more fluency there. Paul McStay really hasn't exerted his presence on the game, nor Tommy Burns or Mark McClair as yet, and Rangers have got a little bit of freedom there, and they've started to create a chance or two.
Rangers substitute Hugh Burns warming up in case Russell isn't fit to continue, but he's on the field for the moment as Cooper plays in the free kick. Patterson at the far post, comes off Tom McAdam, and that's a Rangers corner kick. So Patterson stays in the box. John McClelland is arriving now to join him. Played in by McCoist, the near post. Aiken challenging. Very untidy at the edge of that Celtic box. And a high challenge by Craig Patterson on Tom McAdam has been penalised, and that gives the Celtic defence some respite. And really I think the opening 10 minutes or so have been more encouraging for the Rangers supporters than for the Celtic.
Well, as often happens in these games, Jock, that the underdogs tend to say this is the chance for glory, but Rangers certainly have looked a bit more decisive in midfield. And that was a very, very good forward pass to McCoist, and as I say, Sandy Clark may lift to regret the chance that he missed there. But Celtic really haven't established themselves as a force in midfield as yet, but I would think that that's something that will happen, because McStay for me is perhaps outstanding young talent in the country today.
So referee Will Valentine perhaps being quite happy to have a couple of interruptions there to calm things down. Treatment initially for Robert Russell, then for Tom McAdam. And that might take a little bit of the heat out of the proceedings. McGrain now. And McAdam is clearly all right. Looking for McGarvey. Here's McClair. Patterson's tackle is good enough as McStay came through. And here's John McDonald. Clark playing it to near side for Cooper. What a dreadful late tackle by Mark Reid on Davy Cooper. Now Cooper really has taken a very heavy knock, and Mark Reid will undoubtedly be booked. You see this again. Cooper clearly had played the ball away before Mark Reid arrived. Reid totally committed to the tackle, and there is the damage inflicted on Davy Cooper.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that he took Davy Cooper there. You know, whether that was his sole intention or not, Jock, I don't know, but he certainly went in hard, and he caught him late.
So the first booking of the match for young Mark Reid. Davy Cooper appears to be moving freely enough as he goes away. So a bruise rather than anything more serious, I think. Lay off from John McDonald, but Cooper had been hanging back. Here's Frank McGarvey. Touched away from McCoist by Russell. McClair supported by McAdam. They made the forward run. McClelland coming across to cover. And no qualms about playing the ball out to safety. The Rangers skipper settling in with Craig Patterson this afternoon. He's played with Dave McPherson and Colin McAdam for lengthy spells. Challenge from Dawson on Provan. Dawson clearly thinks he should have had the throw. Dawson playing a ball against Davy Provan for Rangers goal kick. Well, there can be no questioning the commitment shown on both sides. I think the early indications are that Rangers are looking very determined indeed to overcome the handicaps they have in terms of team selection. They haven't got Nicky Walker or Bobby Williamson, and last week lost Ian Redford and Robert Pritz after they were ordered off against Dundee in the Scottish Cup quarter-final replay. Here's Russell. Neat piece of play, taking over again from McPherson. Clark and McDonald through the middle. Cooper coming for a short pass, but it's McPherson. And the first time pass wasn't accurate enough, nor was the pass back from Danny McGrain. So the pressure stays on the Celtic defence. So the tall men to the back go up to join Dave McPherson there. That's John McClellan and Craig Patterson. Rangers posing quite a potent threat in the penalty box for corner kicks. Here's Patterson. Third goal watched by John McClellan, but not troubling Pat Bonner in the Celtic goal.
The game really has settled down very much in Rangers' favour at this stage, Jock. They look more assured on the ball, and they seem an awful lot more creative in midfield. Celtic's marking at the back has been a bit slack as well, and Rangers seem to be getting themselves into open positions an awful lot easier than they should be.
50 minutes gone, Rangers 0, Celtic 0. No lack of action in this League Cup final. Here's McGarvey now in behind McClelland. Looking for McClair inside. That's certainly been a probable partnership this season for Celtic. And Frank McGarvey, scorer of 17 goals for Celtic this season. McAdam with Sandy Clark. McGarvey again picking up the loose ball. McLeod. Did well to get away from Ally McCoist. Reid coming up on the left flank. Going inside Cooper. And McPherson back, helping in defence. The calm pass back to Peter McLeod. Cooper has gone very deep for Rangers to win possession. The long ball is released McDonald. Aiken was very sure of himself with that headed pass back because Sandy Clark wasn't far away. Here's Danny McGrain for Celtic. McLeod inside. Rangers marking is very tight indeed. Only John McDonald's been left up front. Running into the tackle from Craig Patterson. So Celtic's throw. Robin again trying to take on Ali Dawson. Given away rather to McCoist. McAdam showing good touch on the ball. There's Buddy McLeod. And Sandy Clark seeing nothing on inside, playing the long ball back to McCloy. And that allows Rangers to set up an attack on the right. Jimmy Nicholl. There's Barnes. Well taken by McClair. Patterson's tackle, very firm indeed. And Celtic still haven't been able to get full return for the talent undoubtedly possessed by McStay and Burns.
Yeah, at the moment it certainly has gone Rangers' favour midfield. That the big lad David Patterson obviously going to stick a bit close to Paul McStay when Celtic are in possession, and he's making life difficult for him there.
Yes, Dave McPherson has settled well for Rangers, showing his versatility, switching from central defence to midfield. Nicholl's headed out. McPherson looking for Sandy Clark. The referee having a word with Ally McCoist. There your picture for the challenge on Tommy Burns, which didn't connect, but which was perhaps a shade reckless. The flag is up on the far side against Frank McGarvey. The referee spotting the linesman's flag a little late. Certainly hasn't been an easy game for Bob Valentine so far. The latest news from Wembley in the Milk Cup final: Liverpool 0, Everton 0. Appeared to be handball by McDonald, but he got away with it on the blind side of the referee. Aiken tidying up at the back. Match now appears to be settling down to something of a midfield battle. Rangers certainly willing to bring front men back whenever they lose possession. Here's Paul McStay now for Celtic. Good interception that from Patterson. Drain to McStay. The tackle from McClellan was a good one, but McStay very good in that turning situation around the edge of the box. Beginning to assert himself now, Paul McStay. Very important player indeed for Celtic. Common with the corner. Aiken at the near post. McClellan at the far post. Here's Roddy McLeod. McCallum waiting for it and doing a bit of wrestling with Dave McPherson. Rangers get the free kick.
It's easy to see the influence that Paul McStay has on this Celtic side, Jock, because over the last 3 or 4 minutes there he's got hold of the ball, he started to look decisive, and he's made some good creative and forward runs. A very, very important cog. It's amazing to think that a 19-year-old can be so important to a team, but he assumes the authority of a very experienced player and really will dictate play if he gets the chance.
20 minutes gone, still no scoring, and the heated opening has calmed down somewhat. Both sides struggle to establish playing pattern. Ally McCoist showing his determination in that central midfield role again with a good tackle. Provan switching across to the Celtic left. Tackle was by John McClelland. Nicol forcing the ball forward. There's Sandy Clark. Pass towards Cooper was too short, and Celtic have possession again. This is Tommy Burns. Garvey couldn't control it. Nicol thumps it away, but only as far as McLeod. Burns was leaning into Robert Russell to some extent, but the Rangers player is penalised. So Celtic's free kick. Tom McAdam in 2 minds about whether to go forward. Has decided not to. It's towards McGarvey. No Provan. McGarvey again. Crowded penalty box. Rangers so many players back. One of them is Dave McPherson. McLeod back to Burns. Celtic still probing for an opening from that midfield area. Now it's McStay's turn. Looking for the return pass from Provan. Remarkably tight though around the edge of the Rangers box. They pull everyone back whenever they lose possession, funneling back to the edge of that box to fill all the gaps. Drains challenge, winning the ball from McStay. Here's McClair. Behind McGarvey. And cushion volleyed pass back by Russell. Nice to the first time pass, it's too powerful for McPherson. Celtic coming much more into the play now. Rangers unquestionably had the better of the opening exchanges, but Celtic midfield beginning to operate to more effect. But this is Russell for Rangers with lots of room to work in. Towards Sandy Clark. Now McDonald. Down he goes, the challenge from Tom McAdam. And I wonder if John McDonald's reputation for diving in the box, whether it be justified or not, worked against him on that occasion. Certainly it appeared to be caught by McAdam, although it would have been a very soft award, I think. But referee Valentine in the correct position, not interested. What do you make of that one, Billy? Was that worthy of a penalty kick?
Well, I think the great temptation with John McDonald is to dismiss it because he dived, but he certainly looked to be in a reasonable scoring position. That it's one of these things, Jock. I think were I the Rangers manager, I'd be looking for a foul, whereas Celtic's manager I'd probably argue against it.
And the most important verdict came from referee Bob Valentine. Nichols' header keeping the ball in play. Burns and Cooper tangling. Cooper showing a flash of temper as the ball breaks out. Rangers have got the free kick. Still no sign of anxiety in the Rangers dugout at any rate. Top Wallace looking calm enough. A few words of instruction. Nichols free kick. Aiken getting to it in front of McDonald. That's a Celtic throw. A long leg of John McClellan coming in. Celtic dugout. David Hay and Frank Connor shouting some instructions onto the field. I doubt if it can be heard in this bedlam. That'll be a Celtic throw. McGarvey. McClellan, a very difficult defender to go past in these tight situations. Telescopic legs. Robin back to Reid. Well, he had Brian McClair falling to the ball at the far corner of the box, but Reid trying to add to the half a dozen goals he scored this season for Celtic. Sandy Clark now getting the instructions from the dugout. Going awkwardly off the head of Davy Cooper. McGarvey again the target. Always willing to take the ball in very tight situations with the defender close behind him. Now Tommy Burns. Robin. McLeod now to Reid. Nichols challenge. Clark to McCoist. Screened it well from McStay. And now Russell takes over. Clark has taken up good position. McPherson on his left. McDonald through the middle. McPherson's the target, and he misjudged the forward run. He's offside. Perhaps a little bit of inexperience on the part of Dave McPherson, as we've got offside a couple of times out there on the left in promising situations. Using Nicol behind. Clark's control was good enough with defending behind him, and Davy Provan coming in with a tackle to give Rangers the throw. Aiken now trying to get away from Clark. Here's Tommy Burns. Burns looking for a free kick, but not getting it. And Aiken again tidying up round the back for Celtic. Here's Provan. Sidestepping Jimmy Nicol. And Ally McCoist making another good intrusion defensively for Rangers. He's shown lots of commitments this afternoon, Ally McCoist, both in defence and going forward. Mark Reid. Burns is off on a run through the inside left position. It's Dawson all the way across. Nichols' clearance picked up by McLeod. And once again, Ally McCoist with the tackle. Garvey's away from McClellan this time, and a good defensive header from Craig Patterson. All the referee has given a goal kick, which means that Brian McClair got the last touch. Patterson certainly challenged well for this one. An error of judgment here from John McClellan, allowing McGarvey to turn and send across the ball towards Brian McClair, but Patterson's challenged it enough. Free kick against Mark Reid for pushing into the back of Davy Cooper.
The game at this moment, Jock, really needs a spark of life. That really we've only seen little bits of skillful play when Bobby Russell for Rangers and Paul McStay for Celtic have been able to create something. But the game is really stagnated at the moment, and we're really looking for some individual who's going to be able to come and lift the whole game.
Certainly the enthusiasm and support is not dampened, as you can hear all around us. Both sets of supporters trying to encourage their favourites, and Sandy Clark now in trouble for that high late challenge in Roy Aitken. The Celtic players expressing their disquiet to Sandy Clark in their own particular way, and now referee Bob Valentine will take action. So here's the challenge which caused the trouble, a header away, and a very high late challenge by Sandy Clark. Thoroughly reckless and thoroughly meriting the booking which is being administered now by Bob Valentine. An hour gone, still no scoring, and the second player to be booked is Sandy Clark for Rangers after Mark Reid earlier on for Celtic. Now Colin Russell for Rangers. Here's Davy Cooper. Took his eye off the ball for a second, I think, looking for Mark Reid. Clark's lay off to Cooper. He was taken late by McAdam, the referee allowing advantage. And Rangers looking for a free kick as Russell goes tumbling. Really, referee Bob Valentine will need about 6 pairs of eyes at the moment to see everything that's going on in the field. McCoist to the tackle to give Celtic the throw. Here's McGarvey. Lofting it across, the only man there was McClair, but he was too near the near post, and Nichols' interception giving Celtic the throw again. Reid wants to leave it to Tommy Barnes. Wonder if McGarvey will be the target again. He seems to be the target for these tight throw-ins near the corner flank. Here's Mother McLeod. Roy Aitken wants it inside. McCoist is penalised for the challenge. Celtic substitutes are Graham Sinclair and Jim Melrose, warming up in case they're required before the interval. A short one, McLeod to Barnes, back to Mother McLeod. Well covered by McCloy, but firmly struck by Mother McLeod. So it started from the short free kick. McLeod to Barnes, McLeod making a position for the return pass. A hit with lots of power, but McCloy in good position. Adams header, here's McClair. Now Reid. Taken late by McClelland, and both sets of players committing themselves to tackles in determined fashion. That's why we're seeing so many free kicks, but neither side has been able to engineer anything so far from these situations. Let's see if Celtic can create something. Burns flights in the outswinger. Patterson heading it away. Here's Mother McLeod. Interception from Nicholl. John McDonald was the only Rangers player up. They're now trying to get support for him, but McStay picks it up for Celtic. Fine pass. Brian McClair. Once again, Ally Dawson was committed, and although the ball was going behind in any event, he certainly brought down McClair. And Dawson now getting a lecture from the referee out of your picture as the Free kick is anticipated by the Celtic central defenders. They've moved up. Provan will take it. McGarvey, and he certainly wasn't picked up well enough. That was a good shooting chance for Frank McGarvey, and he wasn't far away. It got a deflection, in fact, into the side netting. And you'll see the room McGarvey had from this cross from Davy Provan. He peeled off from the defence, was concentrating on the big men, and that was very close indeed. So now Provan had the chance for an in-swinger this time. McCloy coming for it, feeding it out, not too decisively. McCann is still up there for Celtic. Now McClair. McGarvey. And the danger spotted early by Craig Patterson. Very good tackle. McGarvey now beginning to show his own elusive qualities inside the Rangers box. Celtic building up some concerted pressure on the Rangers defence. Tommy Burns will take this one, in swinging with the left foot. Ally McCoist taking no chances at all. And Rangers have every player inside the box except John McDonald inside the centre circle. For a 10-man defence, coping with this onslaught from Celtic. Led in by Provan. Paul McStay is there. Chance for Celtic. Roy Aitken looking for a penalty kick for handball. Aitken again. And not accurate enough on that left foot. But Rangers living dangerously. They have survived. We'll see the activity here as McStay getting a good header. He's beaten out as far as Aitken. His shot came off Craig Patterson. Back in again. Aitken a fine shooting chance and blazed it wide.
Yeah, the game has certainly, over the last 5 minutes or so, Jock, the game has definitely swung Celtic's way. They haven't played all that attractive football and creative football, but by the bits of the pressure, they're starting to create chances in the Rangers' end. Rangers' defensive marking at times is very, very, very slack indeed. And both Frank McGarvey and Roy Aitken getting shots in very vulnerable positions. Indeed, I felt that Roy Aitken's last shot could have been better, could have been on the target.
The treatment for Craig Patterson causing that particular hold-up. McAdams header forward. Tackle from McStay. One from McAdam. It's a miracle. McGrain heading that wide, but only as far as McPherson. McLeod a bit reckless with the challenge. And certainly Bob Valentine's positioning as referee has been immaculate. He's stayed very close to the play indeed, as befits the man with the reputation of being one of the fittest referees in Europe. Cooper's free kick, looping the ball in. Here's Barnes. Celtic defence racing out, but the Rangers players came with them to stay onside. Once again, Rangers funneling back to defensive positions as Aitken comes forward for Celtic. Much too long for Brian McClair. Stay again, showing his ability in the air, and then Provan his control with the right foot. McClellan being pressurised by McClair. That was enough to get possession for Celtic. There's McStay, now McLeod. McGrain on the right. McClellan's tackle. Here's Murray McLeod. McCoist challenging him. Patterson got his head to it, but again, pressure stays on the Rangers defence. Another corner kick. Brian Scott out of the Celtic dugout. physiotherapist, as Roy Aitken again joins the Celtic attack, along with Tom McAdam. Now, can all the Celtic pressure pay off? McCloy in trouble, just beyond McStay. Davy Cooper holding off challenge from McStay. Here's McPherson, space for Russell on the right. Now McDonald, he's offside. Flag up instantly. So Rangers for the moment being reduced to these breakaways from defensive positions. Celtic well under pressure to get the opening goal before half time. Tony Barnes. So 5 minutes to half time, still no scoring. But the last 10 minutes or so have belonged entirely to Celtic. McGrain playing it forward. Patterson spotted that with the interception. The news from Wembley, exactly the same position there. Still no scoring between Liverpool and Everton. Bit of leaning by Provan on Ali Dawson, giving Rangers the free kick. Dawson with the free kick for Rangers. Headed out by McAdam. Cooper pushed by McGrain. Referee Bob Valentine waving back Davy Provan. Davy Cooper waiting for Patterson and McClellan to arrive. There's McClellan! Well, that was a great chance for the Rangers captain. He knows it very well indeed. That really was the pace of the free kick, as I think we'll see it in the replay from Davy Cooper, which caught out the Celtic defence. McClellan stole in there, got his head to it, but didn't get enough on it to beat Pat Bonner.
It's the first real chance that Rangers have created since that bright start they made, Jock, and to me they look like a team at the moment that's lost a little bit of belief and a little bit of commitment they had earlier, and Celtic have grabbed hold of the game. Disappointing thing for me is that we haven't seen a whole lot of creative play from Celtic, and I think they're very capable of that, but as yet they haven't really got on top of the game to such an extent that they're starting to tear holes in Rangers' back four.
Jimmy Nicholl looking for Sandy Clark. There's Russell. There's Cooper behind him. Mark Reid doing well for Celtic. Here's Jimmy Nicholl. Determined play on the part of both players, Nicholl and McLeod. Patterson has enough pace. Ball coming off his left shin. Took a knock in the process as McGarvey applied pressure, which has been penalised. In fact, it's a free kick to Rangers. McGarvey catching Patterson in the back as he in the act of the pass back. John McDonald. Now Cooper. Sandy Clark called for it. He's got a great chance now. Forcing his way forward, and that'll be a goal kick, I think. Yes. He ran out of space and he took on McStay and McGrain. Well, Sandy Clark called for this pass from Davy Cooper. Very accurately played across. Beyond the defence. There was McStay with the first challenge. Then McGrain came in, and the ball breaking off Sandy Clark for the goal kick. Now McGrain for Celtic. The loose balls tend to fall now to Celtic players. That wasn't the case in the opening quarter of an hour, but Patterson has certainly changed in that regard as the first half is worn on. Here's Robert Russell, now Cooper. Looking for McDonald. Now Russell again into the final minute of the first half. Might be some stoppage time, some injuries. Holding play up a couple of times. There's Davy Cooper. Russell has taken up good position. Stepping inside, Mark McClair, and a penalty kick has been given. A penalty kick to Rangers. Right on the stroke of half-time. Referee Bob Valentine once again in the ideal position to assess that. We'll see it again from the replay. Cooper playing a good ball in towards Russell. The challenge came in from Mark McClair, and that looks a penalty kick to me. Now a great opportunity for Rangers. Robert Pritz is the regular kicker, he's not in the field, but Ally McCoist will take it. He scored once already this season out of one attempt. McCoist against Bonner. Perfectly stopped away by Ally McCoist, and Rangers take the lead. Ally McCoist, the Rangers top scorer with his 17th goal of the season. And the Celtic protests continue towards the referee. It is again, you won't see penalty kicks taken better than this. McCoist sending Bonner the wrong way and lifting the Rangers supporters far to our left. We're now into injury time in the first half. What a dramatic end to the first half. Celtic, after some concerted pressure building up over a quarter of an hour period, find themselves facing the interval a goal behind. Here's Paul McStay. McGarvey back towards McLeod. The shot goes wide. Goal kick to Rangers.
Yeah, it's a terrible time to lose a goal, obviously the Celtic drop, but really at that time they were a bit slack at the back, and it's interesting to note that when Bobby Russell gets himself involved in a game, he tends to have a dramatic effect on it. And I'll be quite honest with you, had it been my team, I would have been looking for a penalty there.
The referee Bob Valentine brings a hectic interval, and no changes in either line-up as the second half gets underway. Paddy Froben operating on the far left for Celtic, and the decision goes against him. He's clearly unhappy. But referee Bob Valentine again asserting his authority. Well, Billy McNeil beside me, if you'd been in that Celtic dressing room at half-time, what kind of line do you think you might have been taking?
Well, I think the thing that's shown right away, Jock, is that they look as though they've got an awful lot more appetite for the game. But what I would be looking for, I'd be looking for Davy Prom to start making some menacing runs on that right-hand side, and equally looking for Tommy Burns to push himself into wide left position so that he can start to stretch Rangers' defence. In the first half I felt they were very, very tight in the middle. The two strikers were easily picked up, and they didn't create an awful lot of wood for themselves and an awful lot of room corresponding.
So a reminder, Rangers holding the whip hand with that goal right on the half-time whistle from the penalty spot scored by Ally McCoist. It's the only goal of the match so far. And free kick coming against John McDonald. Goal's very important, of course, today with the sponsorship involved. Skoll, the sponsors, offering £20,000 to the winners today, £12,000 to the losers, and various goals bonuses also. And now it's Ali Dawson's turn to be spoken to by referee Valentine. How would you assess the referee's performance in the match so far, Billy?
Well, I think they're never easy games to handle, Jock, and the very fact that he's taken a lenient line in many ways. He's tried to reduce the stoppages to as few as possible, so he's done well.
Now can McGarvey turn. Challenged by Dawson, and the free kick given against McGarvey, doing a bit of holding to try to engineer a position for himself. So Rangers have the free kick. Interesting thing for Rangers too, Billy, is whether they should be pushing for more or whether they should be tying things up a bit more in midfield. How would you handle that?
Well, I really don't think you've got an awful lot of time in Old Firm games to think about that, Jock. The tempo of the game tends to run away from you, and you find that it's a Hart that's leading ahead in the multitude of cases. But what obviously is going to happen is Celtic are going to have a real go at the start here and see if they can pull one back.
Tom McAdam playing it wide to the left. Russell, another excellent touch back to Nicol. Russell again. McGrain's clearance coming off McStay, falling kindly for Rangers in the form of Dave McPherson. Now John McDonald running at McGrain. Using McPherson as a decoy. Here's Dawson. Great run from Dawson. Well, that was good play from Rangers. You must give a lot of credit though to big Dave McPherson, who took the Celtic defence away. And now McGarvey for Celtic. Here's Brian McClair. McClellan's tackle. Russell again. Always creative for Rangers. Bringing the ball out of that defensive position for John McDonald. Clark's challenge, winning possession. So McPherson with the throw for Rangers. Rangers, I'm sure, will be very keen to settle on the lead in the early stages of the second half. The goal, as it does so often, coming at a stage in the match when Celtic appear to have the upper hand. Frequently the case in finals, tense battles like this, that the side which appears to be in the rack gets the vital goal. Now Tommy Barnes. Reid on the touchline. Player's header intended for McGarvey. McDonald taken very late by McGrain. McDonald was always going to win the race for that ball. McGrain perhaps a shade fortunate that he's not being spoken to. You see that quite clearly from the replay. In late on McDonald. McDonald certainly in trouble. The referee not yet allowing any treatment for the Rangers striker. Both the Celtic subs warming up, Melrose and Sinclair. And now the Rangers physio, Bob Finlay, has been allowed onto the field to attend to John McDonald. It would be very interesting to see what change Rangers would make if they lost McDonald. They've got Colin McAdam on the bench, and he of course can play either at centre half or centre forward. And there he is on the track. Beside him, the young teenager Hugh Barnes, the second substitute for Rangers. But McDonald will continue, at least for the moment. Quite a lengthy stoppage. McClellan's free kick. Headed away from McAdam under a lot of pressure from McPherson. Here's Paul McStay. McStay robbing Ally McCoist. Tackled on the back, giving Celtic the free kick. McGrain taking the short one to Aiken. McGarvey's header. Here's Tommy Barnes. Using McAdam at the back. Cooper to Russell. These two certainly the men on whom Rangers have been depending for creative play. They haven't been let down too much either. Here's Russell again, and the ball carried a bit too far ahead. Well, he almost won it back from Roy Aiken. But Russell undoubtedly the pick of the Rangers players in the match so far. Substitution will be made. Hugh Barnes is going to come on. Now who's coming off? Is it to be John McDonald? Yes, I think so. Yes, McDonald deemed not to be fit enough to continue. Hugh Barnes, Youth Internationalist, going on. He's had a couple of matches as substitute this season for Rangers only, but that's by far the biggest match in which he's played. And McCoist has been pushed forward into an attacking position. Barnes taking up his position in central midfield. Here's Davy Provan. Stay inside. Barnes intercepting. And McPherson caught late by McStay. That'll be a free kick.
an interesting substitution by Rangers, Jock, in actual fact, because they're bringing on a young lad, Hugh Burns. It's a big occasion for him, obviously, but they've had a fair bit of success with sitting Ally McCoist there in the anchor role in the midfield, and they're taking perhaps just a little bit of a chance of putting a youngster in there, because Mark McClair is capable of winning this game for Celtic. Tremendous scorer of goals, and outside that box he'll get a shot or two in.
There's Burns. McGrain in quickly on Cooper. McGrain again. Long run from McClair, well policed by Craig Patterson. So the Rangers front three now has McCoist operating on the right, Clark through the middle, and Davy Cooper on the left. The ball, no doubt they'll interchange a bit. Ally McCoist certainly did do a splendid job in the middle of the field for Rangers. And of course he's the man who scored the only goal of the match so far to give Rangers their 1-goal lead. Bowen trying to flick the ball into the path of Brian McClair, but McCoy has the chance to launch one of those enormous kicks downfield. Really is an attacking weapon all on its own, this kick out from Peter McCloy, but Clark couldn't control it. McClellan lost his bearings for a second. McAdams' header. Patterson now looking for Clark. McCoist. Burns hustled out of it by Murdo McLeod, so is Dave McPherson. Free kick's already taken. Here's Burns. The body check from Russell. And the referee is going to have a word with Russell. In fact, I suspect he's going to book him, and that does appear to me to be rather harsh.
Well, I think that he's maybe decided now, Jock. There's been one or two niggly fouls that since this second half started. He's possibly just said, well, let's have enough of it, we'll cut it out. But Bobby Russell has perhaps been the least offensive player on the field.
Well, there was the collision, but it did appear as though Russell was really unable to do much apart from that as Burns turned into him. Certainly a free kick, and also a booking for Robert Russell. Persons header out, Celtic pushing everyone forward in search of the equaliser. McAdam. Russell collects it again. Nicol looking for Ally McCoist. McCoist lunging for that ball, he seemed to be out of range. Free kick quickly taken by Reid to Aiken. Interception by Nicol. McCoist holding off Aiken, supported by Nicol. And Aiken this time is the man penalised for obstruction on Nicol. And I fancy that Rangers will not be at all unhappy about the way they started the second half. They've tied things up. Celtic have had precious few chances around the box.
Celtic have been very disappointing indeed for me, Jock, that they started with a little bit more fire at the start of the second half, but they really haven't been a dominant force in the game at all, and we've not seen an awful lot of constructive play from them, really. But more importantly, we haven't seen any great flair from anyone, really.
This time Patterson is penalised for Rangers. The game being played now in rather staccato fashion as referee Bob Valentine is forced to blow his whistle for free kicks at regular intervals. Garvey getting away from Patterson, crossing all the way across to intercept. That'll be a Celtic throw. Well, Jock Wallace clearly unhappy about some aspect of the Rangers play. Handball by McGarvey. Ball arriving at him rather awkwardly. Jock Wallace still issuing instructions from the track.
I think think the time now really, jockeys, for Celtic to be a bit more committed. They're losing a final, they've got to be reminded of that. I would really push Tommy Burns away into a wide role, try to stretch range, have him running at Jimmy Nicholl, see if he can create something there, see if he can disturb him.
So 15 minutes of the second half gone. Is this the second for Rangers? Yes, Ally McCoist has done it. Ally McCoist makes it 2-0 for Rangers. Jubilation on the Rangers dugout, and the debate goes on among the Celtic defenders. Well, Jock Wallace certainly a happy man in the Rangers dugout, and Celtic now have a mountain decline. Well, we'll see it again from the long ball from defence from McCoist through the middle, and Aiken underneath it. Sandy Clark was there too. Aiken's in trouble here. Clark got the header, there was Ally McCoist, and Bonner couldn't keep it out. So instructions now from the Rangers dugout, a 2-0 lead, one which they're clearly determined to retain, and Celtic will now have to, I think, adopt the adventurous approach advocated by Billy McNeil. Ally McCoist has got 2 goals now. One more goal for McCoist would earn £10,000 from the sponsors, Skoll, who are putting that sum up for a hat-trick scored by any one player. So Ally McCoist no doubt will not realise that at the moment. Not too pleased to have given Rangers that lead, but Rangers supporters now celebrating behind the goal to the left. Well, Celtic won the equivalent match last season to take the League Cup with 2-1. Pretty well the same Celtic team again. Charlie Nicholas isn't playing, but Brian McClair is in his place. Rangers a much changed lineup, now leading by 2-0, and Bob Valentine is now going to have a word with Craig Patterson. There was Patterson making the challenge on McGarvey. So Patterson appeared to win the ball, but at the expense of this free kick, and his squad of dissent for the warning. Floyd got a touch. Here's Paul McStay. Everyone back for Rangers. Hugh Burns showing a lot of pace, but Reid also has enough. Patterson's header fixed on by McCoist. And of course that substitution of Hugh Burns into midfield, pushing McCoist into the forward line, has in fact paid off for Rangers. McCoist popping up in the vital position.
It's an interesting one, John. Obviously moving Ally McCoist forward, and he's been noticed an actual goal or two in the past, and he's done that quite convincingly. Roy Aitken, I noticed, having a little bit of a barney with Pat Bonner, but I would have thought that Roy could have come and committed himself to the ball and cleared it before it reached that line.
Cooper now to Russell. Couldn't be reached by McPherson the first time, and the overhead kick goes wrong. And thumped away by McAdam, but clearly Rangers with their tails up. The Celtic defence looking very uncertain. McClellan thumping it into the heart of the Celtic defence again. This time Aiken is there. McStay trying to get away from McPherson. That'll be a Rangers free kick.
When you make forecasts in Old Firm games, John, that invariably the favourites don't do it at all. And really Celtic have failed to live up to their potential at all. They really don't have an outstanding player. And you look at Rangers, perhaps had to make a whole lot of necessary changes because of injury, because of suspension. The players that have come in have really done their job for them.
So Rangers coming forward again. Breaking off Davy Provin's knee for another Rangers throw. Melrose and Sinclair warming up, and I think before long we're liable to see Jim Melrose. McAdam winning it from Clark. Sandy Clark certainly battled hard up front and had a vital part to play in that second goal for Rangers. Celtic continuing to find it extremely difficult to get going. Had a golden spell in the first half for about 15 minutes, but apart from that, the honours have all gone Rangers' way. Dawson stopping Provan. Good pass from Provan. Here's Tommy Burns, McClair and McGarvey making runs up front. McClair has gone to the left. Burns committing the Rangers defence. Still Burns going all the way, and that'll be a free kick right on the edge of the box. Well, Frank Connor, the Celtic assistant manager, out of his dugout, clearly very angry with the tackle which brought down Tommy Burns. And we'll now see why. Here's Burns. It was a tremendous run from a deep position. McClellan came across, he was well beaten, and that is what we might call a professional foul. It certainly was outside the box. Results in a booking for the Rangers captain. And now a chance for Celtic right at the edge of the box. It certainly wasn't a penalty kick as Tommy Burns thought.
No, it wasn't. It just caught him just outside the area. But it's an interesting position because Murdo McLeod can really hit him. We've seen him in the past scoring from here, and it's just his speciality and just his distance.
So Burns over the ball. McLeod is waiting. Brian McClair, the set piece brings Celtic back into the game. 22 minutes into the second half, and a goal right from the training ground from Brian McClair gives new life to Celtic. Well, this was a goal which will undoubtedly make a tremendous impact on the Celtic performance. Tommy Burns standing in the ball, lifting it over the Rangers wall. There was McClair with the instant volley, and McCloy was helpless.
That was a tremendous goal, Joe, because we've been looking, the game needs a bit of flair, it needs a bit of personality. We got it there in abundance. Great composure from Tommy Burns and terrific goal scoring from Brian McClair. Great goal, well worked, and makes the game for Celtic a whole lot more interesting now.
Brian McClair, his 23rd goal of the season for Celtic. And for the first time in quite some time this afternoon, the Celtic end coming to life. Tommy Burns was a key man in that move. And I think we could even suggest that it was to some extent justice that the goal came to the free kick after McClellan's foul. Just outside the box, here's Paul McStay. And this really is a crucial time for Rangers. If Celtic got another goal quickly now, it would certainly give them the whip hand, I think. Scott Wallace realises that, issuing the instructions to consolidate in midfield. Aiken playing it back. Dawson's header. Here's Davy Cooper. Burns playing it wide to McPherson. Now Cooper. Burns again. McStay. Tackled instantly by Dawson. Clumsy clearance, but an effective one from Patterson. Play goes on, although McCoist was sent spinning. Reid playing it wide to McGrain. McGarvey trying to hold McClelland off, but he's been penalised. So free kick to Rangers. So the score here at Hampden, Rangers 2, Celtic 1, and at Wembley it's still 0-0 between Liverpool and Everton. There's Ally McCoist, back to Nicol. McCallum coming to meet the ball, and having to go in for that desperate tackle on Russell. Here's Burns. Now Tommy Burns for Celtic. Reid. Provan got to it, and it was played back by McClelland as McClair tried to close in. chances, playing it back. McCoist looking for Sandy Clark through the middle in the air, and McAdam is penalised for bumping Clark as he came in from the back. So Rangers with a free kick. Davy Cooper will take it. Craig Patterson has gone forward. It's played out for Jimmy Nicholl. He's taken up good position wide on the right. The clearance was from McGrain. Well, there are 20 minutes of the match left to play. Rangers leading by 2-1. And a tremendous climax this match in prospect. Celtic clearly can be depended upon to throw everything forward to try to save the match. And the commitment on the part of the Rangers players certainly unquestioned this afternoon. Dawson's pass back. There's Tom McAdam. Looking for Burns. Patterson now wide for McCoist to chase. Aiken carrying the ball across to Danny McGrain. Rather hopeful ball through the middle against tall defenders like McClellan and Patterson. So this match following the pattern of last year's League Cup final, except that instead of Celtic getting a 2-goal lead, which Rangers pulled back to 2-1, it's Rangers in front. 2 in front, pulled back to 2-1. And less than 20 minutes left. Allen's header helped on its way by Cooper. It's all very ragged for the moment. No one able to settle on the ball unless Tommy Burns can now. There hadn't been a great deal of evidence in the match until that Celtic goal was set up by his run and then by his free kick. Now Davy Cooper. Russell back to Cooper again. Russell holding off the challenge from Aiken. Nicholl playing it forward for McCoist. Good possession play by Rangers. They've retained the ball very coolly indeed. And this is obviously frustrating for Celtic. McPherson now making for the dead ball line. Aiken with him. The goal kick's been given. Dave McPherson has done well for Rangers. Just 20 years old. Alec Totten, the Rangers assistant manager, out of his dugout. Still the instructions come from the Rangers dugout. Sandy Clark wide for Russell. McCoist and Clark through the middle. Too high for Clark. Brian McClair is scoring it behind for the goal kick. Well, Rangers have been very cool on the ball in the last few minutes, Billy, in the circumstances.
Well, they've kept the composure very well indeed, Joe. And really, the players at the back, Big John McClelland and Big Laddie Patterson, have played very, very well and really given scant chances to the Celtic front two, who've got a tremendous goal-scoring record this season. It's really indicative that was Brian McClair's really first chance at goals, and he knocks with it.
Here he goes again. McClair cutting in from the left. Ball is beyond McGarvey, and McGarvey is about to be replaced, that you saw a moment ago. Jim Melrose is ready to come on. And I think he will be a direct replacement for McGarvey, who hasn't found it easy this afternoon against John McClellan particularly. So half an hour of the second half gone, just 15 minutes left for Celtic to try to save the League Cup. And now the change will be made by Celtic. Melrose replacing Frank McGarvey. And I think it won't be long before we see the second Rangers substitute. Yes, here's Colin McAdam. Free kick will have to be retaken, and Sandy Clark coming off. And Clark going off to some warm applause for the Rangers supporters. Hasn't always been this way for Sandy Clark this season. You see the damage, the cut mouth. And Colin McAdam gets a big welcome too from the Rangers supporters. Well, Rosen ball straight away. There's Provan. Patterson's clearance. Reid. Russell towards Nicol. Roy Aitken playing it forward. Here's Barnes. Going away from Dawson. Will the ball come off the corner flag? That's what Melrose is looking for, I think. There's a throw in to Rangers, right corner flag. Rangers clearly taking the sting out of things as much as they can, slowing the play down. McAdam turning it out. Here's Davy Provan. Hasn't been a vintage performance from Provan this afternoon. Perhaps not quite recaptured full fitness after his long layoff. Here's Roy Aitken. One for Provan to chase. The Cranes header going wide. They didn't quite make it. He showed great control, but the ball was out. Well, that's what it's like to be sitting in a dugout when the cup final is on. Jock Wallace clearly not entirely happy with what's happening out there. Still the instructions are offered. Tom McAdam climbing all over the back of his brother Colin. So it's a Rangers free kick. A third goal for Rangers now would surely clinch the League Cup. Dawson looking for Dave McPherson. Tom McAdam wins it. Cooper called for that from McStay. That's why the free kick's been given. Bob Valentine making it clear that Cooper called for it, and an indirect free kick. Here's Colin McAdam with a chance for Rangers. Back it goes to Barnes, but the whistle is gone. It wouldn't have counted in any event, and it's a foul against McAdam, I think, for using an arm unfairly to climb for the ball. But again, the Celtic defence looking exposed, and McAdam penalised, taking the strain off Celtic. McCoist inside to Russell. There's McCoist again. That's for Russell. He's taking up good position again in the box. McLeod fighting for it with Davy Cooper. Breaks for Pat Bonner. So Tommy Burns with the foul on Hugh Burns, giving Rangers the free kick. Time fast running out for Celtic. Colin McAdam signalling for the free kick from Ali Dawson. McAdam going for it with Aitken. Burns with the foot up will be penalised, I think, yes. Showing his studs, an indirect free kick for dangerous play. Here's Aitken for Celtic. Mark Reid. Now Barnes. Aitken has stayed up in midfield. Provan hanging wide on the right. McLeod going in with Craig Patterson for the cross, but Robin's confidence perhaps not as high as it might be. I wonder if he might have taken on Ally Dawson, headed for the red ball line, if he'd been feeling completely happy with his form.
Interesting substitution by Celtic. Obviously they brought Jim Melrose on. He's an enthusiastic, bubbling little character, and perhaps they're hoping that will change things for them. I wonder, I would maybe myself be tempted to try with the idea of pushing Roy Aitken forward from the back and see if he can stimulate a bit of activity in that midfield, because I think that's where they're losing out at the moment.
Hugh Barnes touching it to Russell. 10 minutes left. 2-1 to Rangers. Too much power in that pass from Russell. Yes, Rangers still dominant in the midfield area. Young Hugh Barnes has done splendidly in the anchor role, which Ally McCoist played for the first hour. Here's Hugh Barnes holding off Murdo McLeod. McStay wins it from Russell. Here's McClair. Tommy Burns on the left. Melrose waiting through the middle. That's for Melrose. Hooking the ball across. Davy Crumman get a touch. Thumped away by McPherson. Davy Cooper doing well. He's caught late by McLeod. Referee an eye on that, a lingering eye on the situation, allowed the advantage roll, and this time the decision goes to Celtic, and Dave McPherson will be booked. A rueful smile from McPherson. So Dave McPherson being booked. Now here's the chance which Celtic created a moment ago. The turn from Melrose, hooking the ball across. There seemed to be a misunderstanding after the Provident header between McClair and McStay, and that allowed McPherson to clear.
A little bit of indecision there prevented them from taking a good opportunity there, Jock, because it was a very, very good chance of scoring, and obviously they need an equaliser very, very dearly.
And Grain's free kick, headed on by Patterson, and once again a good shooting chance falling to the left foot of Roy Aitken and being wasted. McGrain with a free kick. It came off the head of Craig Patterson. You'll see here he got a touch, falling on the volley to Roy Aitken, and his left foot letting him down once again.
Yeah, I think Roy will be the first to confess that his left foot is not his best job, but nevertheless he was in there looking for the chance, and he had a go. And when you hit a volley like that, sometimes they come off, and when they do, they invariably make spectacular goals.
Russell playing it wide. There's Danny McGrain, now Provan. Referee waving play on as McAdam releases Melrose on the Celtic right. Patterson's with him. Craig Patterson's had a good match at centre half for Rangers, coming into the side. There's McClair. Still Brian McClair. Looking for a corner kick, I think, off John McClellan, but didn't make it. The two McAdams together. It falls for Aitken. The Rangers throw, and Celtic for the moment showing very few signs that they know how to break down this Rangers defence and find the equaliser. But Jock Wallace still concerned about something out on the field. Stan Anderson, the reserve coach, also having a few words to say. This time it's a Rangers free kick. So Ally Dawson with this free kick for Rangers. Referee Bob Valentine's already warned them about time wasting. Colin McAdam wanted a free kick for a push by his brother Tom, but referee Valentine not interested. And there's Bonner's kick out. Well, Rangers do appear now to have the game well in hand. They've tied things up after the Celtic goal. They settled very quickly, marking Celtic midfield players very closely indeed. So that tells the story. 5 minutes left. Rangers 5 minutes away from the Scottish League Cup, which they've won 11 times in the past. So here's Roy Aitken coming forward. The news from Wembley with 10 minutes left. There's still no scoring. Tommy Barnes has McGrain wide on the right. Barnes continued the forward run. Playing it across. Good play from Barnes. McClelland's clearance. Well, when Tommy Barnes asserts himself in midfield, Celtic looking infinitely better side, and he'll take the corner kick. Header out from Persson, driven in by Reid, and wide for a Rangers goal kick. Well, Mark Reid's had some scoring luck recently, but not on that occasion.
Really, Jock, at the end of the day, I think that obviously Rangers will be delighted with the performance because they came here under strength. They've all worked hard at the game. They've tried to prevent Celtic chances, and they've done that fairly successfully. From Celtic's point of view, it's been a really uninspired performance in many, many ways. I looked to their midfield before the match to be creative and to dominate the game, as it were, but they haven't ever quite achieved that.
Russell playing it through the middle for McCoist. There's Roy Aitken. The Rangers supporters now whistling for time up, but there's still a bit to go yet. About 4 minutes plus any stoppage time. So Dave McPherson in no particular hurry to take this throw. Ricky Valentine has warned the Rangers players several times though about time wasting, and that's a goal kick to Celtic. Now, what can Celtic produce in these closing moments to save the League Cup which they currently hold? There's header, here's Tommy Barnes. Reid off on a run on the left. Russell getting back. He certainly had a fine match for Rangers. Free kick, I think, for the challenge by Patterson into the back of Davy Provan. So now Celtic pushing everyone into the box. Rangers correspondingly bringing everyone back to defend, including Colin McAdam, who's marking his brother in the box. Played in by Tommy Barnes. The header was from Jim Melrose. He got up well, but he couldn't direct the header downwards. It's a good leap this from Jim Melrose in a packed box. Not the tallest player in the world, and he got up well but couldn't get the header on target.
Celtic are really hoping, rather than thinking that they can get a goal at this stage, Jock, they don't seem to have a real desire at this particular stage, and really they're looking for someone to give them a lead, and they haven't quite had anyone to supply that for them today.
Aitken with his free kick, showing lots of urgency. And Dawson taking a very late challenge from Jim Melrose, bundling into him. John McClelland sorting things out, calming down Ally Dawson. Good piece of captaincy by McClelland, and Melrose will be booked. Undoubtedly a reckless challenge this. The elbow up, Dawson winning the ball comfortably, and Melrose bundling through the Rangers fullback. So an angry reaction from Ally Dawson. John McClelland sorted out. So booking for Melrose. And a further stoppage in the play, which will add to the time still to go. Dawson asking for Provan to go back 10 yards before he takes this free kick. From McCloy, chased by Colin McAdam, and now returned by Bonner. McClelland winning it. We're inside the final minute of the allotted 90. There will be some time added on for stoppages. Celtic pressing forward again. Can they finish the first half in the same fashion as Rangers finished the second half, rather, the same way? And the challenge coming into the back. The penalty kick has been given. And yes, drama again at the end of the second half. McCoist has been penalised. A penalty kick has been given, and Celtic now have the perfect opportunity to put this match into extra time. Let's look at this again. McGrain playing the ball across, head flick on, McLeod coming in, bundled by Ally McCoist, and that looked to be a penalty kick, just the same as the Rangers won at the end of the first half. So the referee Bob Valentine sorting things out. Mark Reid will take the kick. He scored 4 out of 4 this season so far. That makes it 5. And Celtic have tied it up at 2 apiece. And the Celtic bench coming to life. Well, the Celtic supporters undoubtedly would have been excused for thinking they'd lost the League Cup. Mark Reid with joy written all over his face. Here's the reason why. Thundering the penalty kick past Peter McCloy. And it's now 2 apiece with extra time surely now inevitable. And just to reassure you, we will stay here at Hampden for the entire period of extra time. You won't miss any of the action. So now a minute into injury time, and there'll be no more of that. Referee Bob Valentine blows the whistle for the end of the 90 minutes. So extra time to come, and the second half ending just as dramatically as the first. A lot of earnest instructions given by both sets of backroom men during that break. Here's Jim Melrose losing it to Jimmy Nicholl. Now we'll have to see the effect of that last-minute equaliser on each side. Certainly it should give Celtic an enormous lift. Remember, they were 2 goals behind midway through the second half before Brian McClair got one back from the set-piece free kick, and then Mark Reid's penalty kick. There's McCoist playing it towards Colin McAdam. Handball by Mother McLeod. Rangers free kick. Well, in the light of that situation, Billy, where would your money lie now?
Well, I think that Rangers have now got to prove they can get over the psychological aspect of losing the goal in the last minute. But from Celtic's point of view, they've got to start playing in the game, Jock. They've scored 2 goals without playing anything like their ability that they have. And I think that if they can harness that ability, start getting that ball on the ground, start making a pass or 2, it's got to be their cup.
Well, we'll see the powers of resilience in the Rangers camp now. And that all looping over the bar from Davy Cooper's header. Pat Bonner looked to have misjudged it for a moment. The ball flighted across. Davy Cooper not renowned for his headers. He got up well to that one, and Bonner looking anxiously at the ball going over the top. Russell's header, and we can confirm to you that final score at Wembley after 90 minutes at any rate was 0-0, and the 2 are going into extra time. There's Paul McStay. Dave McPherson is with him as he has been for much of the match, and referee Valentine gives the goal kick. It's been a very tough match too for both sides in terms of fitness and stamina, Billy. They will have to draw on a lot of reserves of stamina now, won't they?
That's right. It's interesting to note the Celtic still have a substitute that they can use, Jock, and I would still be tempted to bring on Graham Sinclair and release Roy Aitken a bit forward.
Referee Bob Valentine allowing play to continue. There's certainly some clumsy challenges going on in the middle of the field there, but play goes on, and Melrose trying to get in behind John McClelland. Certainly appears to be some extra spring in the Celtic legs. They undoubtedly have had a life because they look to be down and out as the end of the 90 minutes approached. There's the man Billy McNeil was mentioning, Graham Sinclair. It will be very interesting, of course, to see who Celtic took off to accommodate Sinclair. So Provan with Celtic stroll. Tommy Barnes. Foul from the back by Patterson. So another opportunity for the central defenders to go forward. Burns leaving it, I think, to Davy Provan. Bit of pushing in the box. Jim Melrose was the culprit, I think, and Rangers get the free kick. Break of the ball falling for Russell. McCoist off on a run, matched by Roy Aitken. Davy Cooper. Now Russell. Bonner taking it well as Colin McAdam came racing in. Bonner reacting rather angrily to the challenge from McAdam. So he didn't appear to make contact. Burns, good first time layoff towards McLeod. It's Paul McStay. Burns taking up good position again in a forward run. Melrose going on the outside, or McClair rather. Good running from Brian McClair. Didn't quite keep the ball in play for the cutback.
The introduction of Jim Melrose has given Celtic just a little added asset, because he's not bad at getting in front of defenders and touching things on in the air, Jock. And the fresh legs will maybe prove a handicap for Rangers. Rangers have got Colin McAdam up front, and basically he's limited in many ways, his enthusiasm and his tremendous jumping power.
So free kick given. Offside decision, I think, in fact, given against Celtic. Peter McCloy certainly blameless for both the Celtic goals. McCoy's head flick is Davy Cooper, brought down by Reid. Packed Rangers supporters, much more subdued now. So Cooper over the free kick, too far out for a direct shot. Into space for Ali Dawson. Dawson, McStay closing him down. The Rangers throw. Here's Cooper again, switching over to the left this time. Oh, great play from Cooper. And Celtic only too pleased to turn that behind for the corner kick. There haven't been too many pieces of magic from Davy Cooper this afternoon, but almost created something over on the Rangers left. Cooper's corner kick, played by Aitken. Burns helping it out. Dawson looking for Russell on the right. Tom McAdam committing himself for the challenge for the ball. Now Jimmy Nicholl. Bonner in two minds. Colin McAdam got his head to it. Well, that could have been disastrous for Pat Bonner. He started to come and then changed his mind, and that can often be fatal for a goalkeeper. Colin McAdam showing his prowess in the air. James Sinclair again warming up, but still keeping the tracksuit on. Telland well up. Here's Russell. Waiting for Nicholl to go in the overlap. And that's given them a bit of extra space. McCoist holding off by Aitken. Good tackle from Aitken, that on Russell. And Burns showing his awareness. Off on one of those surging runs again. Superb tackle by Hugh Burns, but the referee has penalised that tackle. Well, it didn't look to me as though Burns played the ball first. Well, the youngster perhaps a shade unlucky. Free kick's been taken. Here's Provan. Looking for Melrose. On the McLeod now. McGrain's got lots of space. Robin couldn't control it. Now Tom McAdam. Burns waiting him away. Robin. Reid inside to Burns. Good tackle from Craig Patterson. Tommy Burns looked as though he was half hoping for a reckless tackle as he was inside the box, but good defending by Rangers. So Provan will take this corner kick. Graham Sinclair returning to the dugout, but already peeling off the top cover tracksuit. McAdam at the near post. Led away by Russell. The only man up is McCoist. He'll have to hold things up for Rangers. Wait for support. He gets it now from McAdam. 10 minutes in the first period of extra time gone. Still 2 apiece. And we're entering a phase in the play where stamina will be all important. One or two players showing some signs of fatigue as well. They might. It's been a very physical match. Lots of running being done on both sides, and it clearly will have taken its toll. So a substitution for Celtic. Davy Provan goes off. Hasn't really been his afternoon. The replacement is Graham Sinclair, and he's taking up a position right through the middle in attack for Celtic. Here's Russell, blocked by McGrain. So a corner kick to Rangers. John McClellan thought twice about coming forward. In fact, he's changed his mind. He's staying back. Patterson has gone up all right. Here's Russell. Tommy Burns with the tackle. And this time John McClellan will become involved, I think. Graham Sinclair marking John McClellan. Near post ball, Aiken wins it cleanly. Here's Brian McClair. Melrose is offside. Very tight decision that, but linesman right on the spot with the flag up immediately. So Rangers have recovered apparently from that stunning blow right on the final whistle in 90 minutes when they lost the precious lead to the penalty kick. Well taken by Bonner. Now Graham Sinclair is playing at centre forward for Celtic. There he is, trying to recover after failing to control it the first time. But it's McClair, Melrose and Sinclair playing up front. That's a bit of a surprise, Billy.
Well, it's an interesting role. I think that they're gambling on the one thing about Graham Sinclair. He's a very competitive player and he's very quick, and maybe they're looking for that little bit of quickness to upset the Rangers back to at this time.
Well-timed tackle that from Reid on Russell. We're getting towards the end of the first period of extra time. Just to clarify, the match will not go to penalty kicks if it's all square at the end of extra time. There will be a replay scheduled for Wednesday night. And McCoist took a knock there, the tackle from Mark Reid. The Celtic decision, but McCoist taking an accidental knock. So all the substitutes now committed. Sinclair and Melrose for Celtic, Burns and McAdam for Rangers. There's Aiken's free kick. A couple of minutes left now in the first period of extra time. Melrose getting up well. Here's Murdo McLeod. McStay peeling off to make space on the right. Towards Sinclair. Blocking Dawson's attempted clearance. The pace of the match, as you would expect, has dropped considerably. time now where a mistake could arise from fatigue very easily and settle the destination of the cup. Here's Jimmy Nicholl. That'll be a penalty, yes. Aiken penalised for that rash challenge on Ally McCoist, and I really think he can have no complaint at all. Played in by Nicholl. McCoist trying to control it and spin it, bundled away there by Roy Aiken. A clear foul and a penalty kick has been given, and the protests on the part of the Celtic players certainly are muted. Aiken trying to make a point now, although it will cut noise with referee Valentine. So Ally McCoist is now on a hat-trick. McCoist facing Pat Bonner with a kick which could win the League Cup for Rangers. He made it at the second attempt. Well, a heart-stopping moment for Ally McCoist and for Rangers, but McCoist made it right on the half-time whistle and extra time. Well, Pat Bonner did well initially. You'll see this from the replay. McCoist didn't hit this one very hard. Didn't deceive Bonner that time. A good save in the first instance. McCoist kept very cool indeed to knock home the rebound. So Ally McCoist gets a hat-trick. Half-time and extra time. 3-2 to Rangers. And now an anxious 15 minutes ahead for both camps. Still no scoring at Wembley. 12 minutes into extra time. And McGrain and McAdam tangling. Free kick will go to Celtic for the initial challenge by McAdam. McGrain's flailing arm catching McAdam after the tackle. It's Jim Melrose. Adam McLeod. Aiken. Barnes. Davy Cooper. Good running from Russell. Look at the position he's taken up. Lots of space. Rangers have 4 men up. One of them is Colin McAdam out on the left. Oh, good play from McAdam. And then the cutback was intercepted by Tom McAdam. Dawson stepping in and the ball carrying through to Pat Bonner. And remember that hat-trick from Ally McCoist, worth a £10,000 bonus from the sponsors, which I think goes to the club rather than the player.
It's a bit unfortunate that job, but I'm sure they'll be happy to take it in any case. But one thing about the cup final, I don't think it's been the most enterprising or most exciting Old Firm game we've ever seen, but I'll tell you one thing, it's full of a whole lot of incident.
And 3 penalty kicks in all. 2 to Rangers, 1 to Celtic. All of them resulting in goals, although the second one for Rangers needing a rebound. Davy Cooper. Not an accurate enough pass towards McPherson. Now, can Celtic draw on their reserves of fitness and stamina and courage to save the match all over again? Murdo McLeod. Jock Wallace can hardly stand it, I think. McGrain flighting it in. Good header that from Melrose. Stealing in front of the defender. And it was well taken by Peter McCloy. McGrain's cross. This is the point Billy McNeil was making about Melrose's ability to get in front of defenders. He got in front of Craig Patterson and McCloy made a good save. Jim Melrose has taken a knock in the back of the head. The challenge with Patterson. Celtic with possession. Play goes on. Here's Paul McStay. Trying to take on 2 Rangers defenders. McClellan coming out of defence. There's Tom McAdam. McCoist is up front with him. Good pass that from Reid into space for McGrain. Paul McStay again. Couldn't get the pass beyond John McClelland. And That'll do the Rangers' cause for the moment. Long clearance. Back Bonner retrieving the ball, and still Top Wallace trying to keep his troops in order. Danny McGrain coming forward. There's Tommy Barnes. Good turn. Patterson's header out. Half time at Wembley and extra time, still no scoring. Oh, good play from young Paul McStay. He's in a very good crossing position. Too high for McClair, touched away by Patterson. It was a vital one because Melrose was behind him. And I'm sure the Rangers management unhappy with the handling of these crosses for the most part. Northern McLeod. Sinclair getting his head to it. The hand was used by Melrose. Charging in to get in the end of that knockdown. Well, I think we can take it Jock Wallace is not entirely happy with the way things are going out in the field. Being invited by the substitute referee Brian McGinley to return to the dugout. Here's McCoist. Now Cooper. McAdam waiting for a cross towards the far post. Much too close to Pat Bonner. McClair, it's a good turn away from McClelland. McClelland's lots of pace in the recovery though. That's why McClair has been happy to check on the ball. Well, Sinclair showing his determination, but that's a goal kick to Rangers.
It's a time in the game now, Jock, when there's a whole lot of real tired legs out there, and it's one mistake, it's one slip that can dictate the destiny of the cup now. Certainly at the moment it's Rangers Cup, but it's not beyond Celtic to come back again as they have done already.
5 minutes into the second period, just 10 minutes left. Cooper back towards McPherson. Burns took up good position on the left. Tom McAdam facing him. The youngster overcarries it, but he's shown a lot of very good touches, a lot of pace and determination for Rangers. Certainly one for the future. Roy Aitken using McGrain on the right. Finding Paul McStay. A lot of strength going through the tackle. There's Sinclair. Rangers successful again in getting the ball away. Here's Davy Cooper. And McCoy's forward run was blocked by Roy Aitken. Free kick's been given to Rangers. John McClelland with Rangers free kick. Still 3-2 to Rangers. Less than 10 minutes left. McCloy inviting Rangers forwards to chase, but overshooting them with the kick out. Warner trying to judge it better. Jimmy Nichols headed clearance. McGrain getting to the ball first. Here's Tom McAdam. Reid losing it to McCoist. Here's trouble for Celtic again. McCoy setting it up for Colin McAdam. And a great recovery by Tom McAdam. Well, McCoist almost making Mark Reid pay for that moment of slackness. Tom McAdam rescuing Celtic. Here's Davy Cooper. Dave McPherson. The goal kick to Celtic. McLeod wide for Mark Reid. Nicholl carries the ball out. Celtic still striving to find a way back into this match. Good tackle by McStay on McPherson. Getting the ball to Burns. Looking for McClair. Scrambled away by McClelland. McStay gets it back. No doubting his commitment or his fitness. Now Mark McClair. Leaving it to McGrain. McClair trying to get on the end of the chip ball forward, but McCloy claims it. Another huge clearance from Peter McCloy and the use from Wembley. There's still no scoring, although Liverpool have had the ball in the net twice in extra time. Both times the goals have been disallowed. Tommy Burns wide for McClair, a chance for Celtic, and it goes to Sinclair. Now Burns, and it's just about a foot wide. Well, Tommy Burns on the ground holding his head, trying to guide that one in at McCloy's left hand post. Well, a lot of chances here set up. Burns playing it wide for McClair. McClair back into Sinclair, didn't get the shot on first time. Back it came to Burns, he tried to bend it in. Paul McStay forcing it forward. Burns looking for McAdam on his left.
At this stage of the game, Jock, Celtic are getting a bit from, they've got players that can run at defenders with the ball, and they're doing that quite successfully. Rangers defender now getting tired legs, and they're getting a bit of success from it.
So 5 minutes left in extra time, 3-2 to Rangers. And Celtic once again trying to get forward. They have to throw caution completely to the wind now. From McAdam, now Roy Aitken. Dawson his head to it. There's McClelland, stays in the way. Back it comes to McGrain, looking for Melrose in the box. Jimmy Nicholl challenging. There's the calm figure of Robert Russell pumping it to safety, inviting McCoist to set off and chase. So Roy Aitken now launching the ball forward again. McClelland is there. Prevented the corner kick. So the seconds ticking away for Celtic. Rangers hanging on really with a degree of comfort at the moment, but they did that in normal time too. Just 4 minutes left. Burns opening it out now to Nicholl. Some weary legs trying to get up in support of Jimmy Nicholl. Here's Russell. McPherson brought down by Sinclair. A fierce and needless tackle by Sinclair, which has done McPherson no good at all. Well, I'm not sure what Sinclair had in mind here. Well out of reach for the ball, bringing down the Rangers youngster and bringing about another stoppage in the play while McPherson gets treatment. And of course no chance of another substitution, both been committed.
The thing about the Old Firm games, John, you know, apart from the physical energy that players expand when they're playing, there's a whole lot of nervous reaction, and I think this is shown in players as well, because it really does drain the adrenaline away from you. And those players have got to be commended, the ones that have been on from the beginning. They've got to be commended because they're playing away. They know it's 90 minutes plus, and they're going to give their all for the whole of the match.
Well, they've all certainly done that, but now Rangers have a chance to look for a fourth goal. Good pass from McLeod. Here's Mark Reid. Celtic getting men forward now in numbers. One of them is Tommy Burns. That's for McClair. Well covered by Patterson. Kept his eye on the play. Nicholl's clearance. The layoff from McAdam to McCoist. McAdam playing it through the middle. Bonner knocking it wide to McGrain. Supporters again whistling for time up. Celtic try to press forward, stumped away again by Colin McAdam. Just a couple of minutes left. John McAdam again using Roy Aitken to start the Celtic attack. Through the middle it goes from McClair. Russell's clearance. Colin McAdam. Here's Hugh Barnes. Now Cooper. Under intense pressure as Celtic try to get possession back. Dave McPherson. Now Colin McAdam. Russell. Rangers supporters enjoying this aspect of the play. Rangers retaining possession. Here's Dave McPherson. Well, that'll waste a lot of time, and some action off the ball has resulted in Ally McCoist, I think it is, yes. McCoist is on the deck, and there has been trouble earlier in the match between McCoist and Aitken. And I'm not sure whether it was Aitken who was involved, but in any event there's serious trouble for someone out of all this. Now, on the basis that this was off the ball, I think it may well be an ordering off. McCoist is still on the deck inside the 6-yard box, and I think Roy Aitken may well be in danger of being ordered off. There was a bit of aggravation a moment ago between McCoist and Aitken off the ball, and it looks as though Aitken may have taken reprisals. And let's see how Bob Valentine deals with this. The yellow card. Well, that's an interesting decision because the play was nowhere near these two, and whatever happened, happened. And I can only honestly confirm I didn't see it. But certainly Ally McCoist is in need of treatment, and that has expired the extra 30 minutes of extra time. But of course there will be time added on, and in fact Ally McCoist is in trouble too, so clearly the referee's view is that both players clashed and both were equally guilty. But again, could McCoist go off, I wonder? No, the yellow card suffices. It would have been dramatic to find the scorer of a hat-trick in a cup final being ordered off in the last minute. So now we're into time added on for stoppages within extra time. And it now looks as though it's too late for Celtic. The 3 Ally McCoist goals for Rangers look to be good enough for victory. McLeod now lofting the ball forward. Headed away from Dawson. There's McStay. McStay again. For Mark Reid. Now McClair. Well parried by McClair. That's a fine effort from McClair. And Peter McCloy perhaps the calmest man in the field as he beat that out. Well, you'll see the power in the shot from McClair. He hit it well, and McCloy get down very smartly to his right.
Real good effort from Brian McClair there, and a real great save for Peter McCloy.
And that's the last action of the match. The full-time whistle goes. Rangers the winners by 3 goals to 2. They have won the Scottish League Cup. The League Cup to the Rangers captain, John McClellan.